Alright, what's up guys? It's Unbreakable Patches here. I got some tips for you guys to help take your For Honor gameplay to the next level. Alright, so I'll be the first to admit that honestly, I'm nowhere near good enough to consider myself a pro gamer. However, I study a lot of other pros in fighting games, and I discovered some gameplay tips within my own 40 to 50 some odd hours in 1v1 matchmaking that I'd like to share with you guys here. So I just got some random gameplay here from a few matches earlier. They're not really going to be relevant to anything I'm saying here. I thought I'd give you guys a little bit something to watch. So I'm going to start off with some general gameplay tips since I'm sure that's what you guys came here for. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit light as far as gameplay tips go. But I also have a few other tips as far as regards to your mind state when learning a new fighting game. And honestly, I think the latter of which is going to be infinitely more useful to a lot of you guys than actual just general gameplay tips. Over time, you guys are going to learn your combos and stuff like that just from playing the game. You're not really going to need, I mean, it'll be useful at first for people to tell you a couple of hints, but that's only going to take you so far. Alright, so I'm kind of assuming here you have a decent enough grasp on the game mechanics that you can already win some matches on your own. You're not really just totally getting creamed online, you're just really trying to push your gameplay to the next level where you're able to maybe beat, 70 to 80% of the people you're facing online. And, maybe even higher than that if you want to take it there. Alright guys, so my very first gameplay tip that I'm going to be giving here, which I almost hate saying, but I gotta say it. Use the environment. Now I know a lot of you guys are just going to dub and tossing dudes from day one. But me personally, I know when I started playing this game, I was one of those people, I was always looking for an honorable duel. I didn't want people to fucking throw me off the edge. I didn't want people to throw me into a wall. I just wanted to fight. And I guess like throws every once in a while are okay, but if somebody started throwing like more than 3 times in one match, like one round, not like a best out of 5 series, but just one round, I'd start getting a little tilted. So I started getting a little bit frustrated with the 1v1 matchmaking personally. I'd get really pissed, like, oh, this fucking douchebag, a little pussy, he can't beat me without a throw, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm here to say you just got to get used to it. Environmental kills, as far as I know, are here to stay. Until Ubisoft comes out and they say that they're not going to be having environmental kills in ranked, I'm going to say you're going to have to get used to environmental kills. Start using them as much as you can. One thing I noticed as well, once you break down and say, fuck it, I'm going to use environmental kills, you'll notice that when you do get killed by somebody who is using an environmental kill, it won't feel so cheap. You won't feel like you got cheap because you know that you had the same chance to kill them, and you were probably going to try to kill them like that, but they got to it first. It's like, oh man, you got me, oh well. And before, it felt pretty cheap when you get tossed off, and you're not trying to do that. Alright, so my second tip for gameplay, and this one's kind of complicated, but it's also pretty simple. Learn to parry and learn to deflect. So this is going to sound, pretty basic, but depending on your champ, you're going to have the ability to deflect an enemy attack by timing your dodge at the direction of the attack at the moment it flashes red. And in my opinion, if you have a hero that can deflect, and you're an offensive player, you should try to deflect most of the time. The reason I say that is because you can already be inside of a combo. You can be doing like a 3-hit combo or whatever, and starting your 3rd hit on the animation, and that you see a dude's attack coming at you from the left, let's say, you can actually cancel your animation mid-combo with a dodge most of the time. I'm sure there's some attacks that you can't do that with, but for most attacks you can. And you'll be able to break right out of the animation, go straight into the deflect, hit him with whatever attack your character has from a deflect, and then just continue the onslaught from there. It'll really put the pressure on the enemy, and it'll just really make you a nightmare to fight. So my second tip is now with parries. So parries is a little bit more complicated than deflecting because, yeah, it can be considered a little bit more powerful, but it's a little bit more risky too. The reason I say it's risky, if you start parrying in these low elos, you're just going to absolutely destroy fools. They're not going to know what to do to you. They're going to feel like you're just like a wall. They're just beating against a wall, and they're not going to be able to do anything. So get really good at your parries, and that'll push you all the way up into the mid to high elos, and where there's quite a few people that are good at parries. Now I'm guilty of this all the time. I try to parry as much as I can. You're going to see in this video, I don't parry much at all, especially against this Nobushi here. She's hard as hell to parry against, but some characters are a lot easier than others. If you can get good at it, you're going to be a fucking monster. So the reason I say parrying can be better than deflecting is because when you parry somebody, one, they usually lose about 1/3 of their stamina, and that's pretty huge by itself. If they're out of energy and you parry them, they're gonna fall over it, which is gonna allow you to get them another hit on top of that. But the problem with parrying, so you can see it has a lot of advantages where you can kind of almost combo it more than deflecting. But the problem with parrying is that in really, really high elos, you're gonna find players who, once they figure out that you're a parry lord, they're gonna start baiting you with heavy attacks, and they're gonna cancel the heavy attacks in hopes that when you go for the parry, you're not gonna have nothing to parry because they canceled that heavy. So you're actually gonna do a heavy yourself. So when you're learning parries, get into the habit of every time that you go to parry an enemy's attack, hit circle or B or E, whatever your cancel button is when you play. Hit circle after your parry, and what that'll do is if the opponent jukes you, instead of you just whiffing a big old heavy attack and getting punished after that, you'll actually just cancel the animation, and it'll really piss them off, I tell you what. Because that's the one thing that you can do to counter a parrier. But if a parrier is canceling after every parry, then you're going to be golden, because the cancel won't register in time to stop the parry. You can't cancel your parry, but you can cancel your heavy, which would, you know, be the, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense for you guys. So yeah, with those two techniques, you'll become an absolute monster. So with this second part I'm going to get into, those are just some general gameplay tips. There's a ton more I can get into with specific classes, but those are just a few I could think of that cover all the classes. So here's some more, these next tips are going to be more like affiliated with like your mind state, and are kind of general with learning any fighting game. So the first one, I know this is going to be controversial, but and just so you know, I get a lot of this information from Core Gaming's YouTube channel. They have some great analysis videos on the pro Street Fighter and pro fighting game scene. I'll post a link in the description for his channel if you guys want to check that out. But in my opinion, pick a main and try to stick with it. And now, this is where it's going to be a little controversial. I know some people don't say you should pick a main, but every single pro in the world does. But where it's going to be controversial is, I would say, don't pay attention to the tier list. Don't pay attention to what the community says is overpowered, especially this early on in the game, where, to be honest, the community doesn't really know what's overpowered. They just know it's easy to play. Obviously, the Roshi's getting a lot of kills. Yeah, he's easy to play. I don't know if he's overpowered. I don't think he is. Round 4. But a lot of people do feel that way. But, alright, I'm just rambling at this point. So what I'm trying to say is, go off, in my opinion, look at the play style, the looks of the character, the voice of the character, the animations the character has, everything that about the character, really. You want to find a character that you really love and you really feel like you can connect with. And the reason I'm saying that is all pro fighting game players will tell you the hardest thing about becoming a pro is finding the will to continue playing. And it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, so if you're going to be looking to spend in like 100 to maybe even thousands of hours playing as this one character, you're definitely going to want it to be a character that you actually enjoy playing, that way you don't burn yourself out on the game. It is nice if that character ends up being high on the tier list. That way when you lose, you don't doubt yourself. You don't doubt that your character is just complete trash. If you know your character is good, then you know it's not your character. You know it's just something you can work on. I personally, as far as I can tell, this game is pretty balanced, and there's not a character in this game that's just complete trash. I thought that the Shugoki was trash, and boy was I wrong. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, just pick the one that you personally would like and stick with that one, in my opinion. Alright, so the next tip I'm going to be getting into, this is another controversial one. So in For Honor, man, these matches, like most fighting games, they get tense. They get intense, you get invested into them, and when you lose, sometimes you can get fucking tilted and you'll get pissed. And I'm here to tell you that that's okay. As a matter of fact, I'd actually say it's recommended, in a way. See, there was actually a study that I read, I actually didn't read it, I saw it actually on Core Gaming's video as well. However, where they were saying that there was a study done on competitive sports, which is similar to games in a lot of ways, where they were finding that players that, after a loss, would not get personally, like, heated or angry at the loss, or feel remorse for their mistakes, they would actually end up getting burnt out and just losing their will to continue playing the game at all. Actually feeling angry at your losses and upset, as long as you're angry at yourself for making a mistake and not angry at the player for being cheap or angry at the game, as long as your anger is directed towards yourself for a mistake that you made, that you know that you know how to fix it. Like, damn it, I knew that he was gonna go for a grab. Why the fuck didn't I block that grab? Or, you know, why didn't I parry that attack? Why didn't I do this? Why did I go for that? That's actually okay. When all that anger that you're feeling towards all those mistakes that you're making, when you finally get that win, when you finally get that flawless performance, it's going to feel that much more satisfying because you know what you did right, you know what you worked on, and things along that nature, where it can really help you, basically just helps you not lose interest in the game. A lot of this game is going to be, if you really want to push it to the competitive levels, you're really going to have to enjoy the combativeness in between, you know, player versus player. To the point where you really have to be fueled just by the desire to win. So the next thing I'm going to get into is, as you're playing the game, make sure that you're focusing on, you know, not obviously winning and stuff like that, but as you're fighting and as you're fighting different characters, memorize how those characters work and move. A lot of players will play characters in very similar ways, and certain things are going to be, you know, universal to all people that play that character. Like, example, with the Peacekeeper, she only has 2 ways to close the distance. I mean, she has a sidestep, but she can really only do that to counterattack you unless you're, you know, really being reckless. The only way the Peacekeeper can close the distance to you is with a leaping forward attack, which will always strike up. Or she can do a leaping grab attack, which you can counter that, you know, with a grab cancel. So once you know that, and you know you're at a certain range, you know that there's like 2 options that she has to attack you. And why this helps is that there is another study that was shown, and this is a kind of common knowledge, that if you were, let's say, not to pay attention to all this sort of thing, just fight every fight off pure reaction, you know, you'd be running completely off your own instinct and reactions and things like that. Sure, you might be fine, you might whoop everyone's ass, but if you were to anticipate what they're going to do instead, it's been proven 100 times before that when you anticipate something, you can react much faster than when you're just trying to play reactionary. I'm sure I just butchered that word. When you're trying to play entirely off of your own reactions. If you anticipate the move before it comes and you react to it that way, you're going to be able to react much faster, and it's going to be much more consistent. So really try to pay attention to the different ways enemies have to close the distance in particular. That's one tip that I can give. And just in general, like ways that they can avoid attacks, is know what they have in their arsenal. Even if you don't want to main that character, try to figure out how they react to certain situations, so you will know what they'll basically, if you throw something at you, so you know what options they have to react to you. You don't necessarily need to play these characters to figure this out. You just need to study them as you fight them, and it's something that'll just come with time. With that being said, guys, this is about the end of the video. If you enjoy this kind of content, I'd love to drop more. Please give me a subscribe and a like. It would mean the world to a brand new channel. And if you guys like the psychology side of things, or if you guys would rather have more just pure gameplay tips, let me know. I can make more videos if that's something that you guys are into. Thanks so much, and peace out, guys.